In case you couldn't tell from the intro or from this artwork sitting next to me, today's Fanside chat is about Black Butler. So, if you're not familiar with this anime slash manga slash live action movie slash musical and don't want to be spoiled, now's a good time to leave. Also, if you think the themes of murder, kidnapping, torture, ritualistic sacrifice, selling your soul to a demon, and vengeance might be triggering, especially when they happen to a child of about 8 to 11, now would also be a good time for you to leave. I first came across this anime around 2012. I was house sitting for some friends. At the time, I was still tied to cable. They had cut the cord and gone into streaming services. So they were like, hey, while you're staying at our place, feel free to use all of our streaming services, check them out, see if this might be something you want to do. Great. So that's what I did. And one of those streaming services was Netflix. And guess what Netflix had? Anime. Now then, granted, I had been watching anime my entire life, but my access to consuming it was a little stilted because most of the ways I was able to get my hands on it was either through friends or colleagues who would let me borrow their box sets or DVDs of it, or trying to catch it when I was randomly flipping through channels on cable. I could also rent from the video store and had done so, but I found that the ones that were popular enough to make it into video stores were like the Mecha or Magical Girl, and I was not my genres. So, and look, I know Crunchyroll existed already, but again, not in streaming services just yet. Also, I wasn't exactly rolling in the dough at the time. I live in Los Angeles. It is not cheap. And I was working 2 jobs at the time just to pay rent and bills and then be able to do things to have a life. So, cable or streaming services, it was one or the other. Hence why my friends were letting me test their streaming services out to see if I wanted to give up cable and move to streaming instead. That long roundabout story to lead us back to watching Netflix and running across Black Butler. Immediately, I was intrigued because I'm a bit of an Anglophile, and the Victorian era is my favorite era in history, period. Just, I feel like worldwide, in those decades that Victoria was on the throne, so many fascinating things happened, especially in ways that shaped modern society. But I digress again. There was also this kind of punk-esque vibe to it, and I'm not talking like Sid Vicious and all of that kind of stuff. I'm talking more like steampunk, even though I know this in no way, shape, or form is anywhere near steampunk. And there is a bit of a Lolita vibe going on there too. There was an esque of punk there, and that kind of intrigued me as well. So I turned it on, and I'm expecting this maybe goofy, but dark, kind of funny anime, which was going to be slightly entertaining, and that it was going to be not very true to history, but who cares? And what I get is the opening scene, where the voice, and if you have watched this in the dub, you know the voice I am talking about, and we will get to the voice. The voice starts. If you do this, the gates of heaven will be closed to you forever. And then this child says, I choose. Opening credits. And these opening credits are just giving me everything the deep goth girl inside of me could hope for. And then the episode started, and instead I'm getting this butler opening up windows and them talking about Earl Grey tea, and then the kid trying to throw darts at the butler, and then you meet some incompetent house servants. But I was already hooked, so I watched the entire first season. And then I watched the second season. Look, Claude, Alois Transy fans, I'm not knocking the second season per se, but understand that I don't like Alois in any way, shape, or form, because as dark as some of CL's backstories can be, his are much worse. And I don't like spiders. And that's Claude's whole thing. So, not a fan, not a fan. So I mostly would just watch the first season over and over again. And then Book of Circus came out. And I was like, okay. Somehow I feel like the first half of the first season and Book of Circus mesh. There's a through line here. The second half of the first season and all of season 2 feel a little out of place. So I said, it's time I give in and read the manga. And then I realized why. That was... What kept me coming back to this story? Well, most of it is the relationship between CL and Sebastian, and I'm not talking the quasi-yaoi-esque version of it, because I recognize that the creator, Yanda Toboso, thank you, by the way, thank you so much, has come out and said that they had initially intended this to be a yaoi type of story, and then changed their mind for various reasons. It's more of this mutually beneficial relationship between two people who are not so nice. Because CL just wants vengeance for what was done to himself and his family, and Sebastian just wants lunch in the form of CL's soul. And I like the whole chess game going on. They keep mentioning so much how CL, or who we know as CL, but we'll get there, is a master chess player. And so there is always images of chess and references to chess going on. And while the imagery is more that CL is moving these pieces across the chessboard and Sebastian's kind of standing there giving him clues as to where he should be moving the pieces, in my head, they are the ones sitting on either side of this chessboard moving the pieces along. So every time Sebastian makes a move, it's informing the way that CL is making his moves, etc. So I'm really, really excited to see who in the end will win this chess match. And I don't honestly know who I want it to be, because I could go either way. I'm just gonna go on the journey to see where the creator winds up taking this. The other thing that captured me about this story and kept me going is I'm that annoying person who, if you sit me down to watch a movie that has a mystery element to it or a twist, I'm probably going to figure it out pretty quickly. And I didn't with this one. And I don't know how I missed it, because every single clue was there. Every single clue was there that CL is a twin. And that it wasn't CL that we know that was sacrificed, it was the twin, who is actually CL. And I can go back now and see everywhere that that was pointed out to us. But the most blatant place, and the place I kick myself for not realizing it, because the moment I have gone back and rewatched it and reread this arc, I knew was in Book of Circus, where Baron something or other, I forget his name, and I'm not going to go look it up, goes to the party, and he runs into Vincent Phantom Hive, CL's dad. And they're talking, and he looks down, and there's a child hiding behind Vincent's legs, like children will do with their parents. And he's like, oh, you'll have to forgive him, he's been sick lately, he's not feeling well, he's a bit shy. And then they talk a bit, and then the Baron looks down on the other side, and there's the kid again. And he's like, well, say hello, and the kid's like, hello, I'm CL Phantom Hive. And then he looks down on the other side, and the kid is like, oh, it's so-and-so. And they take off running to this friend of the Phantom Hives. And in my head, I'm like, oh, well, this makes sense, because kids do that. They run around their parents' legs and hide behind them until they see someone they know, and then they're all like, oh, it's you. And then Vincent excuses himself, and they walk forward, and the other person is like, oh, the entire family is here. And I'm thinking, oh, you know, he's shocked that Vincent would bring his wife and his child, especially the child's been sick. because it's the Victorian era and they don't do that. But no, see, because now I've gone back and rewatched and read it and I realized, no, it was the twins. There were two of them on either side of the world. And one was the CL we know, because we know he had asthma and he was a bit of a sickly child. The other one is the actual heir to the earldom. Because he died, the spare decided to take on his name and take his place and pass himself off as the elder one. Also, how screwed up is it knowing that you're the spare? And at this point in the manga, at least where I am, because I'm a little bit behind, he doesn't have a name yet. We don't know his name. And everything about him is the spare. Even the betrothed turns on him because he's the spare. So, Lizzie, I was a fan of yours up until that moment. I was all down with the fact, like, heck yeah, she's a sword-wielding badass of a woman. And then you betrayed my CL, and so I have not forgiven you for this yet. Let's talk other characters. I mean, I like the bumbling idiots that are the household staff. Mayrin, the former assassin and sharpshooter, and Baldroy, the inept cook, who is actually a former soldier and weapons expert and explosives person, and Finny, who is the experiment into a strongman gone wrong and is super strong. Then there's Tanaka. I can't make up my mind about Tanaka because I am fairly convinced at this point that Tanaka was in on the whole assassination of Vincent Phantom Hive and his wife and the kidnapping of the kids and what happened afterwards, because there are just certain things that happen in CL's memory that kind of points to that. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Time will tell. Again, if that's already been revealed, the truth of all of that, I'm behind on the manga, so please don't spoil it for me or others, even though I'm spoiling everything in this video. My other favorite character, aside from these two, is the Undertaker. I adore the Undertaker. He's amazing. And even more so as his story arc keeps going and we keep finding out more and more things about him. Speaking of the Undertaker, Yana Toboso, I am begging you, I'm begging. When you are done with Black Butler, and if you need to take time off, I'm perfectly okay with that. You should take time off. Rest yourself. But please, 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 then give me the prequel. Give me the prequel of the story of Vincent Phantom Hive and the Undertaker. And the other characters that we meet who knew Vincent and all of them before everything's happening in Black Butler. I'm begging. Because I don't want this. I need this. I need it in my life. Let's get back to the voice. J. Michael Tatum is a voice actor. He has voiced many a character in anime and video games who are popular and well known, one of which is Sebastian Michaelis. I have a thing about voices. I admit it. Really good voices are just like drinking a fine wine to me. I'm not really a drinker of wine, but you get what I'm saying. I become obsessed with them. Like James Earl Jones as Darth Vader or Mufasa. I could listen to that man read a phone book. Same thing with J. Michael Tatum. I could listen to him read a math textbook, an encyclopedia, a thesaurus. I don't care. I just want to listen to him because his voice is amazing. I listen to his podcast not because I care about ghost stories, but because I just want to listen to his voice. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure J. Michael Tatum himself is a lovely human being and individual. Everything I've ever read about him or seen others say about him lends to saying that he is a very nice person. But I don't care about that. I just care about his voice. It's his voice. I'm gonna go all crazy fangirl on you right now and say that if I was Ursula, I would want him to keep talking so I could put his voice inside of that seashell and keep it for myself. Okay, crazy fangirl time over. Also, I didn't get into this, but he is a voice of a character in Yuri on Ice. He's the Italian male skater. Don't think I didn't notice that the moment I started watching Yuri on Ice. I was like, I know that voice. I know that voice. So, another reason that sucked me into this hardcore. We had Book of Atlantic in 2017, so it's been, what, 5 years since we had an anime version, and I'm just begging. I'm begging for them to catch up, because I would love, speaking of voices, to have Brenna Palencia, the voice of Sail Phantom Hive, do the twins. Because I think she would rock that. She'd kill it, she'd nail it, and I would love that. So, please? Okay, I think I've fangirled enough about this. That is my fanside chat of Black Butler, and some of the reasons why it is my favorite anime / manga still to this day, despite all the other really good ones I have watched or read over the years. How about you? Any other Black Butler fans out there? I mean, it just recently celebrated its 15th anniversary in 2021, so obviously it's still going strong. Until next time!